So after we've drawn up a probability distribution table, we can calculate what we call the expectation and the variance. So expectation, we can represent by the symbol capital E. So we say it's E of variable X. And what that is the expected mean. Okay, so just like we calculated mean all the way back last year, this is the same thing except that we're dealing with probabilities now. So we don't have actual data values. So that's why we calculate the expected mean. And the formula for that is going to be the sum of each individual value for X times its individual probability. The variance is exactly the same as when we calculated it last year. Same symbols, so VAR of variable X. And its formula, we are going to say it's the sum of each individual X value squared times its probability minus my expected mean squared. And if I want the standard deviation, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the square root of the variance. So I'm going to say it's the square root of my variance of X, just like we did last year. So if I look at an example, I am given the table showing the probability distribution of a random variable X, and I've been given all the values, and I need to calculate the expectation, the variance, and the standard deviation. So first, the expectation, the EX. That formula, sum of each X times its probability, which means I'm going to take each X value, multiply it by its probability, added to the next one. So the first one is 1 times 0.1 plus 2 times 0.3 plus 3 times 0.45 plus 4 times 0.15. Okay, and if I type that into my calculator, I should get an answer of 2.65. So now, the next one is I need to calculate the variance of X. So the variance formula is my sum of X squared times the probability minus my expectation squared. So I'm going to take each individual X value, and first I'm going to square it. Then I'm going to multiply it by the probability. So you only square the X, not the whole thing, and not the probability. So it's going to just be the 1 squared times the 0.1 plus my next X value squared, which is 2 squared times 0.3 plus 3 squared times 0.45 plus 4 squared times 0.15. And then from there, I am going to subtract the expectation that I just calculated of 2.65 squared. And if you type that whole thing in your calculator, you should get 0.7275. And then our last one is calculating the standard deviation, which I'm going to say square root of my answer I just calculated, 0.7275, which will give me an answer of 0.853 on my calculator. So there's my expectation, my variance, and my standard deviation. So all you have to remember is the formulas, because you will have already calculated the table from a previous question, or it'll be given. But Sometimes it could be given like this, which is a little bit more complicated. So now I've been given the discrete random variable x with the probability distribution table as follows. Okay, so now if you look at this table, you can see the probability over here for 3 is A, and the probability for 5 is B. So we haven't been given those two probabilities, but we are given that the expectation equals 4. And we are asked to now find A and B using this information. So the first thing that I know that I have to be able to do is all the probabilities in the table add up to 1. So I can say 0.3 plus A plus B plus 0.25 equals 1. Because all of those add up to my total probability. So from there, I have both variables in there. I can then manipulate it around and I can say A plus B equals 1 minus 0.3 minus 0.25. And if I move one of those variables to the other side, I can get a single subject of the formula. Like that, for example. Okay, and now my second bit of information is the expectation equals 4. So I know the formula for expectation is going to equal the sum of each x times its probability. So I'm given the expectation as 4, and I can say that equals each x times its probability, so 1 times 0.3 plus 3 times A now, plus 5 times B, plus 7 times 0.25. So now I have another equation with A and B in it. So if I simplify it, I've got 4 equals 0.3 plus 3A plus 5B plus 1.75. And if I manipulate that around, I can get it to say 3A plus 5B equals 1.95. Okay, so now I have an equation for just A, and I have another equation that includes A. So now I can sub this one into here and then solve for B to get my answer. So if I do that, I can say 3 times 0.45 minus B plus 5B equals 1.95. So now I multiply that into the whole bracket. So 3 times 0.45 is 1.35 minus 3B plus 5B equals 1.95. Okay, and if I take that to the other side, and I've got minus 3B plus 5B, leaves me with 2B equals 0.6. So then that means, if I move up here, that B equals 0.6 divided by 2, so B equals 0.3. Now I have the answer for B. I can sub that back in here to find the answer for A. So A is going to equal 0.45 minus 0.3, which gives me 0.15. So now my probability for B is 0.3 and my probability for A is 0.15. So I can always use all the information given as long as I know the formulas. I can always make different equations to always solve for the unknowns that I have. Okay.